Well, I'd like to welcome our delicious audience members at home for another wonderful episode of Candy Between Company with a very special guest, the incredible chef, really an artist, Vincent Pantoliano.
Hello, everybody. How you going? How you doing at home?
Everybody. Well, welcome, Vincent.
There's a massive fan base at home. There has to be. It's a phenomenal show.
Yeah.
I've been listening since the beginning. Big fan, and candy connoisseur myself. Long-time candy-holic. I mean, probably since has to be at least 3 or 4. Really just been permanent habit. Can't say I don't like it.
I've been a long-time fan of you, and so it's really nice to have you here on today. And you did dive in a little bit into your, one of the things we like to do is get the candy history of our guests. You did dive into your early candy-holic, fat kid, joie de vivre, gusto for life and candy. And I believe you said you ate an entire mint chapstick.
Whole tube of chapstick once.
Whole tube of chapstick.
How'd that work out?
How'd that work out?
I mean, I was obviously embarrassed. I was in a toy box. I was hiding. But you know what? It's my obsession with mint candy. Like, mint has always been my favorite flavor. Always favorite candy. I literally had 2 mints before I came here. You can justify it with breath control, but honestly, I just love mints. When Christmas time comes around, the first thing I'm looking for is a box of candy canes. I just cannot have enough mints. It's mints all the time. They're literally going to be everywhere. Going to have them hidden somewhere, but mints are my primary go-to.
He's a mint guy, guys. I get it. My favorite mint are those round ones that are like the soft. You get them sometimes when you're leaving a restaurant.
Yes, the butter mints.
The butter mints. They just dissolve. I'm always, whenever I crunch into one and find out it's just a hard mint, I'm very shocked and disappointed. But those butter mints are, doesn't get much better for me.
No, because it's like a textural thing. It's that melty quality that's really nice. And my go-to brand for that was always the Richardsons. It's funny because they I feel like they changed their composition somewhere in like the late 90s, early 2000s, so they don't kind of have that same melty quality that they used to have. Same with like King Leo. King Leo is another brand that used to have like candy canes that were super melty. That now
I've never had a melty candy cane before. I would love a melty candy cane. They're always a little hard for me.
Oh yeah, no, it'll change your life when you get the right one.
Yeah.
Those peppermints that melt. Oh.
Melty candy cane. Who knew? Well, you know what? Long live Candy Between Company. I will hunt down my melty candy cane one of these days.
Say the most mintiest thing that I have ever been, lucky enough to witness was Alinea. Alinea, 3-star Michelin restaurant in Chicago. They took their mint game to a whole nother level, and in ice cream, they started using pharmaceutical grade menthol and added that to their ice cream to really give it that sort of minty quality that sort of, I would say, is more of like an Altoids, just 10 times that.
So it makes sense. Now that you mention it, but is menthol derived from the mint plant?
I mean, I would assume so. I'm not exactly sure where or how they're pulling it out. I'd imagine it's just from the mint leaves, but it's got to be a different variety.
You think they were just like stripping a menthol cigarette and just distilling it?
I mean, that would be very entertaining.
Alinea, the hidden tricks up their bag.
They will not sell. You cannot just buy a pharmaceutical grade menthol either. I have tried, not allow it.
Yeah.
But I will use Altoids for ice cream, and that is a really good supplement. I do find that makes a really good, mentholated sort of ice cream.
Now, when I said chef extraordinaire, I meant it all from scratch. And I've had a few of your incredible ice cream varieties. What's been your biggest ice cream varietal surprise?
Ooh, I think it was a few years ago. We started playing with hardwoods and just charring woods and making wood-flavored ice creams. So we did cedar, we did apple, charred maple, all fun, all different unique flavors, but I like those sort of elements on there. It was I think it was Heston Blumenthal who did Chef of the Fat Duck. It was sort of in the early 2000s, I believe, maybe late 90s, where he started getting interested in smells and flavors and then went with the perfume industry and then started figuring out how to play with different scents and adding those to different, distillates and making different creations with those. And, it was always that just sort of gave me a sort of interest in just playing with anything. There's anything can be a flavor, anything you can work with. It's just a matter of figuring out how to make it, actually edible, is sort of the challenge sometimes.
That is the challenge, and it's actually going to be a particular challenge with the candy I have for us to try here today. Is it edible? It doesn't look edible.
Nice. Exciting.
I did not know about this background with mints because there is also a really interesting mint candy which we are not going to try here today. I apologize. You'll have to wait for a second round on that one. I couldn't help but dig up what we are going to try today. But as you were talking now, you can't help but radiate the excitement you have for flavors and for food and for creation. You mentioned your excitement for sweets. Which came first, just a love of food or a love of sweets?
Candy. Hands down, it was candy. Because I find that candy is just, you can always have fun with candy. There is no occasion really that isn't made more fun than with candy.
Yeah.
I challenge you to find an experience that isn't more fun with candy.
You know what? I don't disagree, but when I go and I get one of those do-it-yourself bags and I get like 2 pounds of candy, I will say the experience that is not more fun with candy is like that last little bit of candy, both because I'm sad the candy's gone and because I'm about to pass out.
Well, for me, it's just the anxiety of trying to purchase. How do I choose? How do I fill that bag? There's like how do I put a limit on how many of each I'm going to have and when I'm going to have them?
Well, when I get to the 2 pound bag, it's clear that I haven't put a limit on myself, and I will just eat them as I eat them. One of the things we have here in Candy Between Company is our lovely, lovely hungry little hippo here. Her working name is many. We have Frederica, Fred, and Fiorucci, but I don't know if she sparks, if there's a name that sparks there, we got a working title here, so you're welcome to give your shot at it.
I mean, I have one that just keeps lingering around in honor of actually my favorite episode where you went over the reason. Yeah. I think Tiffany Amber Reason is a great name for her.
Tiffany, she could be a Tiffany. This little saucy lady could be a Tiffany for sure. She might key your car. I don't know. I don't know if her little hippo hands can hold a key.
Brand new video tonight, a woman keying a luxury Tesla at a North Charlotte park.
I thought, why? That's the only question I have is why would somebody do it?
So one of the things is normally that we dig in here and pull out the candy. However, the candy I chose doesn't fit in her.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not that it's so huge. It's just, it was put in a square in a circle hole, and sometimes it doesn't always work. I did pick today's candy knowing that I was dealing with an extraordinary chef in a food theme.
Right.
Are you excited?
I'm excited. I made sure my blood sugar was nice and low.
Okay.
So I'm ready to go.
Okay, well, we can do it. I will say, now, as a chef who cooks the finest things, would you say that you're all highbrow, or are you also comfortable going lowbrow sometimes?
Oh no, I'm all lowbrow when I'm off.
Okay.
There's 2 modes. There's sort of work mode, and then there's just I want to be away from all of it. So it's sort of like, at the end of the day, as much effort and how much time I spend in manipulating a pig and a chicken, they can always just average down to a hamburger and a chicken tender. I mean, there's only so many ways you can flip and break something down, and for me, the fun is the creative journey of what I can do with it and the exploration of seeing someone who's better than me and what they've done with it. So those things are both fun at times, but they're not for an everyday circumstance. So for me, it's sort of when I'm done playing and I hang it up on the shelf, I could just run through fast food and I'd be just as comfortable with something very simple. I mean, for me, it's the real excitement is sort of finding the building blocks when I'm exploring and understanding what I can do with each flavor, than sort of seeing the compilation of what others have done with it. It's sort of, you are an artist in your own right, you put together your combinations, and I think that as eaters, as people that consume, you are some of your experiences. So nobody is really wrong, and everybody is sort of giving their opinion on what it is. So it's nice to explore those and entertain them, at times. But for me, it's sort of like I just kind of need the blank canvas when I'm done to sort of then go find the pieces and then be able to put them together. There's nothing more satisfying than a perfect orange or a perfect apple on its own. But a lot of that has to do with, the right set and setting, really to what makes things. Like, is a tomato, does it taste better in the winter if it was grown in, hydroponically in a garden, or in the summer if it was grown? Now, does that tomato in the summer grown taste better if you're eating it in, say, inside the house, or if you're eating it outside, in the sun? Now, will it taste even better if, say, there's a smell of fresh cut grass, it just rained, and there's all of those different elements going on that sort of are building this. This is summer. We are in this moment where this is at its peak ripeness. Now, is that the best flavor? Because it could be the same tomato, but I think a lot of those factors really build into it too. So that's sort of, another aspect of it to consider when you think about the food.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about here. And I love hearing the way you think about food and the way you think about flavor. We love a good blank canvas here. We love good building blocks. We also personally, and speaking on behalf of Candy Between Company, love a good high, love a good low, love going high-low. It's the variety of life, that keeps things interesting. You mentioned earlier about, you can manipulate a pig in many different ways.
All right, that looks fun. I've never seen that before.
Have you ever seen
That's
a pig
exciting.
manipulated this way? Now, Vincent said that looks fun. To me, not gonna lie, I almost vomited in my mouth when I saw it. I said, "Boy, is there."
It's just so weird. It can't not be great,
Yeah,
right?
so you gave us your first impressions, but tell me about this here.
I like that first that it's a Frankfurters from Frankfurt. I like that. That's cute. That's a fun play. Oscar Mayer. Is it Oscar Mayer or Mayer? Is that like a Berenstein Bears thing? I'd have to check.
Potato. Please tell us what you think at home.
So I can't necessarily comment. That fruit flavored, artificially flavored. Okay.
Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed?
You know what? I don't mind if you're going to manipulate it and make it taste good. I really want as much artificial fruit flavor as I could possibly get in this hot dog, and as little hot dog flavor as possible. So they're probably doing us a huge favor
Amen
on that
to
one.
that. Amen to that.
5 servings. We got 5 guys here. Okay, that's excellent. There's actually protein in here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Look at
it's a
that.
hot
There's
dog.
actually
Yeah, what are they
protein
gonna
in
do?
here.
They're not, Oscar Mayer's not like cutting corners.
And no fat.
No fat, high protein.
I don't see any gluten.
It's a
either,
post-workout
so
delight.
Vegetarians got to be happy about that. This might be a product we can have share with the.
Yeah.
Wait, is it possibly with the vegans? Maybe you guys are
Who
into
knows?
it.
Vegan hot dogs.
Is yellow
They're
number
all-
5 vegan?
Yellow number 5, I think, is vegan, although
Excellent.
it might be, disliked by some vegans.
Well, they're not expired, so they're good for the whole family for the whole year. So
Yeah. Why don't
do.
you hold the package up and we get quiet and just sort of look into that and give it a little crinkle, give it a little.
Well, texturally, I think it matches a hot dog. So I think they also nailed that one. That is also
It's a good hot
unfortunate
dog
for our
texture.
palate, but
I will say this goes in the series of, I like hot dogs. I like candy. Who knows if I'll like a hot dog candy? One of these hot dogs, 80 calories, not that bad. 12 grams of sugar. It's not crazy nutritionally. Should we break these open and give it a try?
I'd also be curious to know if they also sell a set of buns in 6. just to be offset, just like they normally do, the 5s and the 6s.
I didn't see them in the store. Something to consider. Not sure how big of a seller this is for Frankfurt as they might consider doing accessories with it. I think one of the things that you could get really adventurous with is, well, if they're not going to provide the bun, what other candies might I bun up with this? You know? But knowing that I have to try it, I can't wait any longer. Let's,
Off the top of my head, personally, I think you could probably just take a container of Peeps. Probably just put that in the freezer real quick, just firm them up a little bit, take a bread knife and just lop the top, a little bit around the sides, and then you got yourself a New England style bun to go.
That's smart.
Oh, you could even torch it.
See, this is, I would have thought Peeps. I wouldn't have thought fridge, freezer, and I wouldn't have thought torching. I was going to say they look plasticky, but they still have the plastic on them. So, okay. Well, we'll go this way. Okay. Well, it sort of beckons you to open from the bottom, even less glamorous from the bottom. You know, there's you get a little citrus smell.
It feels like something between surf wax and car air freshener.
Can't wait to try it. All right, well, guess first, just peel.
Definitely chapsticky, so I think that definitely, call back to
peel one off
where
there.
we began.
Let me get you a little. Oh wow! I mean, it just limps in your hand. It just really, it says, "You sure you're gonna eat me?" It's a real slow. This will be interesting going through the digestive tract. Well, let's just
Sick.
dive in.
Gummy millipede.
Yeah, I'm gonna dive in and we'll give first impression. It's spongy.
Yeah.
Doesn't taste like hot dog.
It does not.
Yeah.
But my initial thoughts on the scent, definitely trying to place what that flavor is.
Orangish. It's like an orangesicle.
It's like almost the orange lava soap they use. The pumice salt.
Haven't tried it.
Must be like that smell.
We're going for a second one. I mean, the chew is, it's chewy, it's dense. The flavor is mild, but gets a little stronger. Definitely, leaned on the orange citrus.
Just very reminiscent of car air freshener. Maybe the kind that you stick into the slots and the vents that go up and down. And
feels more like something I'd see between the seat, in the gap between the seat when you're cleaning out and getting the loose change before a car wash.
But I'm not mad at it because it's not too sweet and it's not too acidic.
I'm not mad at it either. It could not possibly, knowing that it was full of sugar, taste as bad as it looked. So,
could benefit from some,
still slouching.
maybe some relish. If they figured out some sweet relish or some sort of acidic compliment to go with it.
Yeah. Something to spice it up. Some little
jalapeno candy?
Some little like rock candy onions.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but if you left it here for an hour and a half, it wouldn't be here.
It's like the lazy boy couch of candies. I mean, I don't know, that wasn't meant to be derogatory towards lazy boy. My lazy boy recliner was probably my favorite piece of furniture I've ever owned, but just feels like I should be on a lazy boy.
Yeah.
Cracking into one of these.
Like a candy beer.
I don't think
Candy hot dog.
I don't think I can finish that. I might even just wash down the sugar with it a little bit. I mean, what was, I sort of gave my mouthfeel score, but how did it chew for you? What was it like in the mouth for you?
I mean, if you want to get a Habsburg jaw it's going to help you get there. You know, very, very firm, doesn't really break down much, just a lot of chew. You know, I mean, eating through one of them is definitely exercise, so I think you do burn at least a percentage of the calories trying to consume it. So, probably it's, I mean, are we saying 1 is the worst and 10 is the best?
Sure, yeah, let's do that, yeah.
I'm going to put it at about a 3.5.
3.5.
Definitely worse, but
Yeah.
not really so enjoyable.
Yeah, you got it graduated, but
Yeah.
it was not top of class. Let's just say that much. Now, I'm glad that it happened to be an orange citrus because, you know, backstage here, you brought me this orange from your garden, and very eagerly also pulled out this little beautiful secret little box here. You can't see what's in it, but why don't you tell us what's in it?
So one of the best candies, one of the simplest candies there is. It's made by the French. They just take this little outside and they candy this peel. And just make this bitter, bitter peel. Just takes like sweet, sweet orange candy. So that's what we've done today. It's taken this fruit and actually turned it into candy with only 2 ingredients: itself and sugar. That's it.
That's awesome. You know, we recently tried a candy that was 5 ingredients, and I remember thinking, wow, that's like the least. It was 100% Irish-owned family family-owned company.
Confection-not, I don't know.
Confection
Maybe like an astronaut.
But 2, that's without just eating the fruit. That's as low as you can get. You know, you grab one of these here. You can definitely see the granulation of sugar. It's sparkling at me. It's beautiful. Now, were these freshly made, and do you have to like let it sit? Is it just a peel and get going? How do you prepare these?
So the actual technique is fairly simple. Once you take the outside peel off, you are left with the nice aromatic part on the outside, the orange part, but then you're left with this little bitter inside rind. And so the object of what you're trying to do is make this soft enough and chewy enough, but get rid of that bitter feeling and really just emphasize the orange. So the best thing to do is just blanch it. Just bring it up from cold water, bring it up to a boil, let it boil for like a minute or 2 with the oranges inside, and then just dump that water. Do that 3 different times, and it sort of just purges all that bitterness out of the orange. Then make a little simple syrup, soak them in the simple syrup, bring that up to a simmer, and just let that go for about another hour. Let it cool down, pull them out, drain them off, and then coat them in the sugar. That's it. A little resting time in between to manage the moisture, and that's all.
That's it. That's all.
Very simple.
Simple. Do it at home. I will. Before we dive into this, I'm going to pause because while the nutritional facts were aspirational on those hot dogs, I can already feel my face flushing a little. So the aforementioned, woo, what happens when it hits my digestive tract? Well, my body's already on high alert and high guard. I'm going to look forward to washing it down with some of nature's candy here. So generously brought to us by Vincent. Thank you. Let's dive in. Oh, so one, you have sort of the inside of the rind, which is soft and supple, but then you have the outer skin, which gives it just a little firm texture, a nice little backing. Sugar granulations hit us. Almost that when you rip open an orange and you get the spray, you get that sort of orange scent. It doesn't have that pungent of a scent as if you're tearing open an orange, but if that scent were a taste, you can tell that this is what it would taste like. That was like I tasted that and almost smelled, that was delicious.
It's interesting to see when you actually scratch the orange and smell the orange to see what the orange originally was.
Yeah.
It's very close, almost has a little bit more acidity. You can sort of feel a bit of the abrasiveness on the orange when you smell it versus when you eat it now and the sugar's sort of taken over and sort of worked on it.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very light. I would say it's like a you know, and what's also nice is I wouldn't go through a whole bag of these because obviously there wasn't like a team of chemists being like, once he opens the bag, what are the exact ingredients we need to put in to make him finish the bag? This is like, it's nature's candy with a, you know, the touch of other nature's candy, Vincent over here, you know, that wonderful human touch. It's delicious. What would you put these with? What would you pair, you know, like if you were to serve this, would you serve them alone, or would you maybe put it on a, you know, two things that come up to mind are maybe a, like an oil, what are the olive oil cakes? The like, or, you know.
You could do that.
Or like
would
a
be
vanilla
good.
ice cream,
That
or
would
like,
be really
how
good.
do you see it?
You could actually cut them up and use them in the cake in itself, just to sort of give it some texture, give it some flavor, use it as a flavoring agent. But they're nice. I like them to sort of cleanse the palate. Like I like them sort of with an espresso in the morning, maybe also an espresso 30 minutes after that espresso, then possibly with the one that's 30 minutes after that espresso, then maybe at the evening with a cup of coffee, you know, maybe after lunch.
They're
just
good
sort of
all day.
nice.
They're good all day.
Good,
is what
freshen
I'm
up your
hearing.
palate.
And when you brushing your teeth, you want to, like, you get that mintiness, you need to cleanse that. Have a little sugar orange peel. Well, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate these. I appreciate you. You know, one of the things we do here, in case our viewers at home haven't appreciated anything about this, is give them one good fact. And the one good fact I dug up was actually about hot dogs and really sausages. Do you know the first recorded, turns out sausages basically been around as long as humans have been around eating meat. But the first recorded, the first recording of the mention of a sausage, effectively a you know, meat in a wrapping. Do you know when that was?
Ooh, when did we start encasing meat?
This fun fact is, when was it first put in writing?
Put in writing. Well, I guess they would have to be writing first, so that cuts out where I would have thought we would have began.
Yeah, I think it goes way back.
I would say first time it was written out, I would have to say it'd be the French, because they're the most arrogant and they would want it documented. So I would have to say it'd be
They are the
them,
most
probably
arrogant.
around the 1500s.
And you know they're the most arrogant because the French are proud of their arrogance. So, like, yeah, what do you mean? Of course.
It's usually the best.
Yeah, and you know what? The French, many things, usually the best.
This is
they
from
come-
the French.
Yeah, they come by it honestly. Homer's The Odyssey.
Homer. Oh, close.
Oh yeah, like roughly, like, I don't know if that was like 9,000 BC or something. So it's sausage and humans. It's like dogs and humans, sausage and humans. Basically, sausage probably came first, and that's probably why we have dogs.
I can see that.
It's a working theory. Vincent, this was such a pleasure. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
I hope this is the first of many. And thank you for joining us. And also, if you're a first-time viewer, I hope it's the first of many. We'd love to wish you a wonderful day. And from my deepest, deepest heart, I hope you find a little bit of sweetness out there in your day. Thanks for joining us. Bye. Thank you very much.
Fun, thank you.
This was fun.
That should be ready in 20 seconds.
Ooh.